Welcome to the Community Collective Podcast, a flip-flop agent production in collaboration with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. I am your host, Johnny B. Good. All right. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Community Collective Podcast. I am one of two hosts of this amazing podcast located here in the greater Genesee and Lapeer County areas. Today, I have my co-host Travis Howell, the executive director for the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce, online with me. And Travis, why don't you tell me how you're doing? And let's talk about who we're interviewing today, my friend.
Oh man, I'm doing really good. Johnny, it's always great to join you on this podcast, and I'm excited. I actually got a lot of things planned today. I know we're getting together later today, working on more exciting plans for the Festival of Flags, which is going to be an amazing event. And I will say, our guest today, Davison Township Police Chief Jay Rendon, has been very helpful with me in a couple of our events, just getting them organized. So, Jay, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for taking some time today to join the chamber and talk everything Davison and everything Davison Township Police Department.
Yeah, no worries. Pleasure to be here.
So, one thing we always are excited and interested to learn about our guest is a nice, easy first question. What is your background? What got you to say, hey, law enforcement's for me, the Davison area is where I want to live? And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised in Saginaw. I'm a proud graduate of Heritage High School. I went to Delta College. That's where I started. I got enough credits to where I could get into the police academy. And from there, I graduated the Northeastern Police Academy. I went back to Delta to finish up the associate's degree. Years down the road, I went to Eastern Michigan University School of Police Staff and Command, and that was kind of a jump start for me to get back into college. So since then, I've graduated from Siena Heights University with a bachelor's degree. I was selected to attend the FBI National Academy, session 273. That's a prestigious honor since only 6 people from Michigan get selected for each session. There's 4 sessions a year, and with approximately 19,000 police officers in the state of Michigan, being one of 6 was a pretty high honor for me. When I got done with that, I came back and finished up the work on my master's degree from Columbia Southern University. And last year, the icing on the cake, I finished up with getting selected for another FBI school, which was the Michigan Police Executive Development Seminar. They call it MPEDS. That's my background for education.
Man, I feel like I need to call you Professor Rendon right now. With all that education, I was like, man, I'm going to call you Professor from now on just because of all that time.
I couldn't stand school when I was a kid, but once I got older, and I think you just mature and you just kind of like learning. You just going to school, writing papers, and it was a hobby.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this. I know I've had a chance to talk to you, but I'm sure so many of our listeners are really curious. What is the stuff that you guys do? This FBI, tell me again what it is, and tell me like what you did and where you went and a little bit about it. This is really interesting.
Yeah, the FBI Academy is actually at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. So we had 250 students, I guess you could call us, but anywhere from the rank of sergeant to chief, sheriff, under sheriff, and 28 of those students were international. We had people from Peru, Mongolia, Saudi Arabia, Canada, all over the globe, and it's executive leadership classes. So a lot of it was just geared to make you a better leader.
That sounds amazing. And it sounds like going away to that and going through on probably some pretty intense training, some classroom work. But what a great thing for our community. You come back here and I'm sure you're applying all that you learned into the Davison Township Police Department and Davison community as a whole, which seems like a great resource for our residents.
And when you go there, you're bouncing ideas off of people from all over the world, not just this country. So if you think, oh man, I've got a unique problem, and you talk about it, there's with 250 people there, there's probably 75 people that have had that problem before and said, no, here's what you do, you work this out, this, that. So there's always somebody to guide you there or bounce ideas off of. You're there 10 weeks with them, so you become pretty close with them. And to this day, we've got a great core of friends from all over the country that we stay in touch with all the time. So you're never more than a phone call away from help.
So now with that, with all this education, with all of your experiences and in your new role, what ultimately, when you were younger, what said Jay Rendon's going to be in law enforcement? What was your passion or encouragement to go into law enforcement?
Miami Vice. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, good
No,
old Don Johnson.
that was a great show. I did that show. But no, I wanted to do something different every day. And with police work, every day is different. No 2 days are ever the same. You come into work, you don't know what you're going to be doing. I didn't want to be stuck in a cubicle working in an office setting. I just wanted to be outside and doing things. And that's always been good. But the drawbacks to that sometimes are directing traffic in a thunderstorm or a blizzard. That's when you wish you were inside. But no, you really like the adrenaline rush, and there's certainly enough opportunities for that in this line of work. But ultimately, you really want to help people.
And I've noticed that with you. I've had the chance to really know you for a couple years, but even as the police chief, I see you outside with the officers or outside in the community. You're not just doing office work all day long every day. You're actually out there, which is, I think that is a great example for not only younger residents that see, hey, there's our police chief, but they're also going to see the newer officers that are just starting in law enforcement, seeing this is our leader. This is a guy that actually has been where I am, and he's still doing it. And I know I would say our kids love it because I use this as an example on Halloween. I know I've seen you driving around and you have some candy in your car and you guys are reaching out to the community and you're out there showing how much you guys care. I think that's great. I think that's what our first responders do in our area is that they care about our community, they care about getting out there and just showing how important everybody is.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I say, you got to lead by example. And I try to show everybody that I'm just a regular guy. I haven't forgot where I came from. If I'm in my office, I hear somebody needs help, I'll get up, I'll run out, I'll help them. But like you said, with the trunk or treat and whatnot, or not trunk or treat, but just being out on Halloween, driving around through neighborhoods, talking to people and giving
Yeah.
candy out to kids and whatnot. I think that's very important that they can see that we're regular people.
Yeah, and I think that's great. So, what are some of the other things that the Davison Township Police Department are involved in our community? And I feel like every month, I see something new that you guys are doing, are involved in. So, what are some things that you and your officers like to do, and what are things that you have planned for this year?
Some of the things we've done and will continue to do. When I took over, I wanted to make it a priority that we create a stronger partnership with our community. And since then, we've done coffee with cops and cones, which is where come and eat ice cream with us. National Night Out, that was a big one. We've never done it before, and I didn't know how to go about it. I thought it'd be pretty easy to do, so we signed up for that. And then it was like, wow, there's a lot more to it than just showing up. I reached out to Casey Reed at our parks department, and she and her staff did a fantastic job of throwing a lot of things together for us. And we expected to see about 200 people or so, and she had counted over 400. So that right there tells me that our community wants to engage with us, and that was a really neat thing that we're going to keep doing every year. Other things we've done is we've helped out the high school key club with different food drives. We'll provide a police car and a police officer, and people can fill the car, and then all that money, or all that money rather, all that food will go to different food banks and Outreach East. Shop with a Hero, that's grown into 2 events in December, and those are very rewarding. We have a pretty good turnout for that, and everybody likes helping and doing that. No Shave November, I can't stand the way a beard looks in a uniform, but for a month I'll gut it out. And with the donation, I let it happen, and we take that donation and give all that money that we raise to Outreach East, so that money stays in our Davison community to help those that are needy.
That's amazing right there. And I'm sure your officers, some of them probably enjoy growing a beard. I will say I'll bump into one every once in a while and I'll see them with a beard or mustache going on. And I'll ask them, are you on vacation right now? They'll laugh and say, yeah, we're enjoying a few days off, so I don't have to shave. But I think that's great. It's motivation right there. It makes it fun to, I think, for them to do something like that, but they're also committed to putting a donation into a local organization. Then I know we joined you guys for the National Night Out at Lake Callis, and I was amazed to see how many people were there. But you guys
Yeah.
also you brought in like I think some of the squad cars for kids to check out. You have a new program you started. Was it the officers on the bikes?
Yes.
So tell us about that. What was your motivation behind saying we need to get some officers to have bicycles, and what role do they play as they go around the community?
Well, we've got a lot of trails here in the township, and one thing you can't do is drive a patrol car on a trail, but you can ride a bike on a trail. And those people on the trails, they like to see the police, they like to feel safe. And another thing, through neighborhoods, that's great. You drive through a neighborhood and you can wave to people, but you got a barrier between you, which is a car. Now you're out on a bike and you're so much more approachable. And I've heard from our officers, they're riding their bikes through the neighborhoods. They stop, get out, throw the ball with kids, shoot some hoops, whatever. And again, it's just building a bond with the community. And with all the negative police bashing across the country, I've never felt that here in this community. And it's always good just to remind people that we aren't those guys on TV. We are good people that are here to help and work with you.
I completely agree with you. I think, you guys face challenges every single day, and you guys are, your team is in a lot of probably uncomfortable situations at times, but I feel our community appreciates you guys. And when you see an officer in the schools walking around talking to the students, but then those students see that officer at the grocery store, it's still that relationship building that says, hey, I'm a police officer here to help you and keep our community safe, but I'm also going to want to spend time to get to know you. And hopefully someday that relationship develops, or maybe you get interested in law enforcement. And I think you guys are doing an amazing job. I have seen the past couple years that our officers are out in the community. They are taking time to talk to kids. They've driven by our house and they'll stop, they'll say hi to our kids as they're outside and playing basketball, and our kids get excited. Or they'll see someone, an officer on a bike at a high school football game. And I think that makes you guys more accessible. Not only are the officers walking around the high school sporting events, but you also have access to an officer on a bike that you said can get into other areas just to make sure everyone's safe, that our community is a place that people want to live and raise a family, which I think is one of the reasons we decided to move to Davison almost 14 years ago. We looked at how great the schools were, but a big thing was community safety. And I think our first responders, you guys play a huge role in people starting lives here, which is great, Jay. And we appreciate that as residents and with someone with young kids. You
Well,
guys are
thank
doing
you.
all the right, I think all the right stuff to make sure those kids know that law enforcement is here to help, but also to see the positive side of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I'm excited too. You guys have something else coming up. I feel like I just saw it like posted. I think it was like hero hike or hike with a hero.
Yeah, that's going to be something we've never done this year, or we haven't done before. We're going to do that this year. And that came from the parks, that idea. I said, that sounds like a great idea. We'll have some officers out there and again, just connecting with our community.
Yeah, no, I think if I remember right, I think it's over at Williams Nature Center, and so that's a beautiful thing here in our community. If someone hasn't checked out the trails out there, there's a storybook trail with a book that you can read as you walk around, and but then also just take your dogs out there. Just go out there. But this is an opportunity for, it seems like, for people just to spend time with our law enforcement, but then also enjoy the beautiful nature that our community also has. So Jay, that's a great thing. I'm excited. I think I have to talk to my wife to see if our schedule is available to join you guys. Just give us
Yeah.
a reason to get outside.
Yep. Come on out.
So one thing you guys, we've talked about all these great things you guys are doing in our community and involved, but there's so many things I'm sure behind the scenes that we as residents don't see. What type of trainings or anything else that your department has to go through every year to make sure new officers are trained, or if you're working towards accreditations? What type of
Yep.
things are you guys?
Before each officer is able to work on their own, they have to successfully complete a 14-week field training program. And that's a very intense program, but if you don't pass that program, you're not going out on your own. And it's just something we've always had that makes us better officers, I feel. And by the time you're done with our program, you should be confident enough to know that anything that gets thrown at you, you should be able to handle. And then, of course, there's supervisors and senior officers and other people as well. When you need help, we don't expect you to do it all. But outside of that, we do our in-service training that we're required to by MCOLS, which is our governing board, which is firearms training, taser training, emergency vehicle operation, defensive tactics, bloodborne pathogens, hazardous materials. Those are your core of what you're required to do. But outside of that, we participate in a lot of training we are not required to, but we go above and beyond in training. Every officer gets trained in ethics, anti-bias, implicit bias, emotionally disturbed persons, and autism training. The more you educate yourself, the better you can handle these situations. And then we also use what's called a mailto system. It's a 360-degree screen. You stand inside of it, and they run real life shooting scenarios, almost like a surround movie theater type of thing, where everything's on the screens, and you got to react to that. And then when the Davison schools are on breaks, whether it's the summer break or intersessions, we try to get their buildings and use those for active shooter events. The best thing about those schools is you get familiar with the layout, and God forbid if anything ever does happen, we know where we're going and we know what the outlay of the school is. And something else we incorporated into field training is that every new officer has to walk through every Davison school and get familiar with that layout. Just because you never
Yeah,
know what's
I
going to
think
happen.
that's what I was gonna say. I don't know how you guys, all this training you guys are going through, and I'm sure there's only so much you can do to get prepared for things, not knowing what's gonna happen. But it sounds every type of scenario, you guys are constantly educating yourselves or getting individuals trained, or just like they said, I as a parent with two younger kids in school, and Johnny as well, just the fact that you guys are aware of what the makeup of our buildings are that our kids are in, and that there are officers and security in those buildings. I think that's a good thing. And I think those kids developing that relationship, just seeing that they can go to school and learn and enjoy being kids, I think is nice as a parent, because you guys are doing the hard work and dedication just to make sure that this community is a great place. And that's amazing. I don't know how you guys keep up with all the trainings and officers maybe going away for a conference or for a training, or like you said, the FBI National Academy. That's something right there. That's a commitment. And then you're going away for probably several weeks for that, but you're coming back with so many great resources.
Yep, yep. And I will say the township board has been the most supportive board that I've ever worked under in my 28 years here. And without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. And they support us, like I said, more than any other board ever has. So we really appreciate that. And the result is that we're able to do these things and give back to the community. So it all starts with them.
Good. I think that is a great example right there of the teamwork that your department does. I know the other day we were talking to Fire Chief. I have a great relationship with our police chiefs because we're interacting so much and we're in this community together. And I think that's a great example right there, Jay. You mentioned one, your department's a team working together, but you guys expand over and you're working with the fire department, you're working with EMS, you're working with other police departments, but then right there, the township board, you guys are working together. Just, I think that's great. This is what our community needs. Our community needs to be a positive place, a place where we all can come together. And I think that's great to hear that you're seeing that as our police chief, and you are putting yourself out there saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be team players. We're going to work together for that, which I love seeing that myself as a resident.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Like I say, you hit the nail on the head. Teamwork and talking with the fire department. We've got a great relationship. And what was odd to me is when you go away to different schools and you're talking to people, and there's always that friendly rivalry, and we pick on each other and joke a little bit. But there's places out there that legitimately hate their firemen. And it's that to me is just unheard of. That's crazy. You got to work together. And there's many times where somebody will have a birthday party for a kid and you see cops and firemen at the same party. And it's, hey, that's really cool. We can all mix in together. Really, I've known no other way. I've not seen headbutting or any kind of thing like that.
And I know you've been great to work with in my new role with the Davison Chamber. I've come to you several times like, hey, Chief, I need your help with this, or what should we do for this as we work on our flip flop 5K run and walk? And I needed help with ideas for the safety of crossing a street. You're like, hey, we'll be there. We're going to help out the chamber. And then also, if the Festival of Flags, I'm talking to you. And then you're like, hey, this is kind of the information we need. And then I go to the city and they're like, hey, this is information we need. And it's everyone working together. And I appreciate that as part of the Davison Chamber that you guys are right there and we'll help you out. This is what's been done in the past. This is what we need to do to move forward to make this an event successful. And I thank you for that as a chamber, the Davison Chamber. That's we appreciate you making our lives a little bit easier and getting organized. And that's teamwork right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another good example.
Travis, just going to jump in here real quick. One thing that I like is growing up, I was born in 1981. So whether to those of you that are listening, that's either old or young, I can't really tell you. But being born in 81, I remember like walking around because I grew up in Lapeer with my dad and my grandpa, and they'd be like, oh, you better mind your manners. You better do what you're told, or we're going to sick the police on you, or we're going to drop you off at the jail. And it was always in jest and it was always joking. But I really do appreciate the kind of change in concept behind that, where I want to teach my kids that a police officer is a resource. There's somebody that they can go up and they can talk to. And if they need something, if they're scared, that you guys are there to assist, not to be somebody they should be scared of. And I think that's so important in society these days, that we focus on the good that we can do as opposed to always the negative.
That's a great point. On duty, you're in a uniform, you run into McDonald's or something like that to grab a quick lunch, and somebody, like you said, will say that you better listen or he's taking you to jail. And you so many times want to say, listen, lady, you just put negative thoughts into that kid's head. Now they're scared of us, and that's not why we're here. But you don't want to start an argument or that in front of the kids. So it's just okay. And you
Right.
got to take it. But yeah, that's some old thinking. And that's, like you said, not what we're there for.
No, and it's, if heaven forbid my wife, my kids are ever in a situation when they need the police, the last thing I want them being is scared to talk to a policeman. They should be the first person that they go to when they're in need of something.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Jay, we've covered a lot of interesting topics, and you've shared a lot of what your passion is, serving the community and being a team player. But one thing that I always like to really ask is, what is something that you enjoy yourself about our community, and what's something that you do just to relax and like zone out sometimes, just to be comfortable?
My favorite part of the community is the people. People are what makes a community great. I like to, when I unwind, I like to go on walks with my wife, hang out with our family. We've got 4 grandkids now, so that's a hobby now. We're never bored. But I like watching ball games, Lions, Tigers, Pistons. I've always been athletic growing up, so I've always had an interest in sports. But yeah, this job takes a lot of time from you, and that's one thing you can't do is just take time for granted. So you do have to make time to spend that with your family and your loved ones around you.
And I think that's important too. I agree. And it sounds like you have opening day baseball coming up that you get to enjoy with your dad. And that's a time that I'm sure you value, but it also gives you a chance just to relax yourself. You guys, I can only imagine how stressful it can be to be in law enforcement at times, but you're passionate about it, but you also need that time, just like our other officers, just to just be with your family and just get away from things sometimes, which is good. That's interesting. I like that. And I know when I've had the chance to bump into you and your wife around the community, I can tell usually you'll have a grandkid with you that you guys are doing something with, or you guys are bragging up. Like, hey, guess what? This is something fun that our grandkid's doing. And I love hearing those stories. As a parent who isn't proud of their kids or get some entertainment out of having kids around as well. Jay, that's really great. I love that you took some time today, out of your busy schedule just to talk with the chamber on our Community Connection podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. I like doing it.
Yeah, Jay, thanks again for taking the time. I know that I'm going to drag my kids out to the Williams property to go hike with you guys because they'll never go hike with me. So maybe I can grease the wheel a little bit and get them to get out and get some exercise with a cop.
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, thank you so much. And anytime you have something you want to share with the community or just have a conversation about things that are happening, feel free to reach out. We would always love to have you as a guest on the Community Collective.
All right, I appreciate that. And the same goes for you guys. I always keep an open door. So I'm here. I'll talk to you.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your day, Chief, and I look forward to continuing working with you.
Sounds great.
That was another fantastic episode of the Community Collective podcast. A huge thank you to Chief Rendon for taking the time to meet with us today. Wow, it's amazing to know all of the things that officers are required to do. And it seems as though our officers, especially here in Davison Township, are going above and beyond, what the standard state requirements might be. Instead of doing the minimums, it really does seem like they're trying to do the maximums. And as a parent, a resident of the community, I am so appreciative of that. Man, what a great episode. If you are interested in being interviewed for the Community Collective podcast, or if you have a recommendation of somebody you would like us to interview, somebody you want to hear from in the community, you can send us an email, podcast@flipflopagent.com. Again, that's podcast@flipflopagent.com. And we'd be happy to either interview you, set up a time to do that, or reach out to whoever you're interested in speaking with. So definitely reach out if you have a suggestion. We would love to hear it. We're open to critiques. Every week we're trying to get a little bit better. And so we appreciate everyone that's listening and taking the time to listen to our ramblings here on our podcast. So I am Johnny B. Good, the Flip Flop Agent. This has been the Community Collective podcast. We'll see you on the next one.